Okay, so this is why I'm going to attempt to do what I want to try today, and that is to get our corn patch weeded so that we can have fresh corn to eat and so that I can have corn to freeze for future use through the winter. Fresh corn is delicious, and it was so nice to have these bags of frozen corn to use throughout the winter. But our corn patch is pretty weedy, so I'm going to attempt to get it weeded so that the corn can grow and we can have fresh corn to eat now and frozen corn to eat later. All right, let's give this a try. Hello, family and friends. It's Kim here from Kim's Country Corner, and today I'm out at the Hancock Homestead. It is the first weekend in July, and my project today is to try to get rid of this weedy mess, to try to find the rows of corn. And I don't know that this is going to work, but I'm going to give it a try. Paulo, I'm not sure that's going to help, but thank you. Yes. So I can't even see the rows of corn right now to get the tiller in there. And I'm not even sure I can manhandle the tiller, especially as tall as the weeds are. So here's my thought. All right, family and friends, so here's my idea. I'm gonna try to weed eat between the rows of corn and in between the corn. If I can get the weeds knocked down, then I'm gonna try the tiller, okay? I'm going to try the big tiller first, see if I can handle it. I might be feeling strong enough that I can do it now. And if I can't do the big tiller, then I'll get out the little tiller and try it. But first thing I need to do is get rid of the weeds, okay? And because I know I'm not going to be strong enough to get the tiller through there with the weeds. So I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to give it a try. You don't know if something's going to work or not until you try. And I have you turned on to document this, because if it works, then I think I will have performed a miracle on our corn patch. And if it doesn't work, well, then gardeners will see that sometimes you have failures too. You have successes and you have failures, and you just have to take both if you're going to be a gardener. All right, so let's try this. And I don't have my mic on today because I'm not going to be doing much talking, and I didn't want to lose my mic. So I hope you can hear me okay. And we're just going to see what happens. All right, and I'll probably put you on fast forward through most of this anyway. So, all right, here we go. I gotta get it started first, and hopefully I can get it started by myself. Sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. Okay, so you can see 3 rows, 3.5 rows I got done before I ran out of gas, both literally and figuratively. Yeah, I don't know. This might be a fool's errand. So the main problem I was running into was, of course, tripping over the weeds. And the different elevations in there, because that was plowed and then roughly tilled. The ground is very uneven, and of course with my bad knee, it just really makes it even that much harder for me to maintain balance. So what I did at the end there was, instead of trying to do in between the rows, I just said, okay, if I see the corn, I'm going to go and try to do around it. If it's tall enough to see, then maybe it will be tall enough to produce. And those are the ones I'm going to concentrate on. So that was what I was trying to do in this last 3rd and 4th row here. So I don't know. This is a good time to take a break and reevaluate the situation. And if I come back and finish this, then I'll either be a fool or I will be a true gardener that wants their sweet corn. So you'll have to come back and see what I turn out to be. All right, I'll be back. Okay, family and friends, so I went inside, I got me a big glass of water, took a little break, and when I was in there, John asked me, so were you able to get anything finished? And as I looked out the window, I realized that he could not see anything I had done because I was on the back side of the garden. So I have moved you guys to the front of the garden. And yeah, you can't tell I've done anything. So what I'm going to do is go with plan B, which is, instead of doing the rows, I'm just going to find the individual corn stalks that I can see and go around them first, and then maybe see where I'm at. And yeah, so let me go ahead and get the weed eater started. And then I'm going to go in from the west direction this time and try to do some on this side, so that as we're looking out the house, we can see that I've actually done some work. It's not going to look pretty when I'm done. You know, I don't plan on it looking pretty, but hopefully by getting rid of some of the weeds, we will have some corn grow. May not get enough to can or to freeze, but hopefully we will get enough maybe to eat fresh. So anyway, let me get the weed eater going and we will do some more weeding. Okay, friends, get my glasses off where I can see you. Okay, friends, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go in there and gather up some of those tree type weeds and get them pulled out. There's a bunch of tree type, I mean, they're not trees, but you know, they're as big as a sapling. I'm gonna get those pulled out of there so I can walk better, and then I'm gonna see where I'm at. All right, it's a warm one today. Okay, so I think I'm gonna try to mow some of this. The ground's a little rough, but I won't know until I try. But before I do that, I want to show you a couple of surprises that I have found in this weed patch. All right, here we go. Okay, so in this weedy mess, there have been a few surprises. We knew that there was corn in there, of course, because that's what John planted. But look, there is a tomato plant. I don't know what kind it is. I'm thinking it's a Better Boy because I had a plant that looked dead. So I just threw it out here. I figure it's already a weedy mess. Let's just add some more to it. And I think that tomato plant took root. And it even has a little tomato. So you never know. Mother Nature might surprise you with a tomato plant in the middle of your weeds. And then you can see some of the corn. And then there's this beautiful sunflower. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So even among the weeds, we can find beauty. Look at that. Look how pretty that is. Okay, so then, come on down here. That's just some kind of a vine, but I wanted to ask John what it was. All right, so I'm not sure what kind of vining weed this is. I'm going to ask John, but here's what I want to show you. On the bottom part, there are two little Japanese beetles doing business in the middle of the day. He says, "Quit looking at me." Not the kind of business I want done, but yeah. Okay, so yeah, even bugs, you know, even bugs multiply, and now we know how. All right, and then there was one more thing I wanted to show you. I was going to show you this grass. This grass has been very deceptive today because I think, oh, I'm just going to cut down a bunch of this grass here. And then, lo and behold, I will have cut down a corn. So I didn't lose too many corns. I think I've lost maybe a half dozen altogether, cutting them down thinking they were a weed. But yeah, and this is the kind of grass I like. I really like this grass. I think it's pretty, but not in the middle of my cornfield. What do you think, Paulo? How many rabbits have you chased out of here today? Do you see another one? Did you hear another one? Okay, family and friends, so I'm going to go get the mower, and I'm going to try to mow some of this around the corn that you can see. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's out of gas for good this time. So I'm gonna do a little mowing and that's gonna be it. I'm not gonna be able to get it all done, but I wanna show you something interesting that I found. So let's go take a look. Okay, so my weed eater is completely out of gas now and I don't have any more to put in it. So this is gonna have to be it for the weed eating, at least for a while. You can kind of see some corn in there now. I may not get enough to freeze, but maybe we'll get enough to have a few ears of corn. I had done the top half and had taken a break and then forgot to turn you guys back on. So I started this back half before I had turned you on. But anyway, you can still see that there is corn down here on this lower half. Let's go take a look at the interesting thing that I found. Okay, so look at this. Isn't this cool? Can you all see that? There's a bird nest inside this weed. I don't know what kind of bird it is. Let's see if I can get this leaf out of the way. There. Okay, so the interesting thing I found was a bird nest inside this weed. I don't know what kind of nest it is. There are no eggs inside. I'm happy about that because I wouldn't have wanted to disturb it. But if you know what kind of nest it is, leave me a comment. I'm gonna see if I can, well, first of all, I'm gonna let that stand there until I'm able to show the grandkids. And then I might see if I can actually cut that out, add that to my collection of really cool things in my potting shed. Yeah, all kinds of neat things have been found in this weed patch. And there is still more corn through here. I just can't. I've run out of gas to be able to trim around them. But like, here's some corn, and if you look on down, there's even more corn in this row. But anyway, I think what I am going to do is try to mow some more, and then call it done. I made a path right through there to separate the top section from the back section, but I accidentally knocked over that plant. It's still attached. I don't know if it'll grow back up or not, but we'll see. Anyway, here's my first path that I had made through the two sections. All right, so there's section 1. I started with that small section there, and then after a nice lunch and a nice break, I said, okay, well, let's see if I can get some more done. So I came out here and started on the second half, and I was able to find a few more stalks of corn in there. I had started before I turned you all on, but anyway, as you can see, I did get a little bit more work done. But I'm out of gas for the weed eater, so that patch right there is just going to have to stay covered up for a while. And this little area down here, John said he had gotten hung up with the disc when it was wet, and that it's just too bumpy to try to get in there. And it is. In fact, I almost tipped myself over when I went down in that hole, but I didn't, and I'm fine. And I was able to back myself out. So, all right. Not the best field of corn, but there are stalks standing, and these stalks do have tassels, so who knows? We may be eating some fresh corn this year. And all of the cool things that we found while doing this was an adventure all its own. We found a volunteer tomato, we found a volunteer watermelon, we found a volunteer sunflower, a nest. I mean, it's just been a lot of fun doing this today. But now I need to go and sweep the yard. Yesterday I mowed all day, and now today I need to sweep it. All right. Okay, family and friends, well, I'm going to call this it for this weedy mess video. But among the weedy mess, I have found a lot of really neat surprises. Beautiful sunflower, a volunteer tomato, a volunteer watermelon, a bird's nest built right in the middle of a weed, and I did manage to find some corn. So, not too bad of an afternoon spent here in the weedy patch. Also found some Japanese beetles having the time of their life. But that's just part of nature. Okay, if you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to know more about what's going on in my corner of the world, hit that subscribe button to Kim's Country Corner. And be sure and come back, because as my shirt says, I am in summer mode. And being in summer mode, I have a lot of projects that I want to get done. All right, talk to y'all later. Bye for now.